Okay, so next question. How has your life in Japan affected you? Like let's say you imagine yourself like you dah pernah membesar dekat Malaysia dengan based on your observation of living here in Malaysia and when you live there in Japan lah kan. What would you say is different if you were raised here compared to if you were raised in Japan?
To be honest, sekarang ni my daily life really related to Japanese punya lifestyle sebenarnya. Sebab bila kita duduk di luar negara when I was a kid, sebab masa kita kecil, masa tu lah it's a very adaptable process to be with, kan, macam kalau masa kecil tu lah boleh belajar macam-macam benda sebenarnya.
Sebab tu lah time tu lah kita absorb semua lah kan.
Yes, true.
Yeah, kids what do you call it, goes by this principle which is what they see and they do.
Yeah. So sebab tu lah sampai sekarang alhamdulillah I really can speak Japanese fluently, but my problem right now is the writing and the grammar lah. Kadang-kadang grammar betul, kadang-kadang grammar aku salah, but yelah nak buat macam mana kan. I don't have any problem with it lah. Cuma kalau nak how my life affect me antara perbezaan when I was in Japan and Malaysia sekarang ni, I perasan yang mana when I was in Japan, the way I speak is more polite, you know. Sebab kalau kita dekat Malaysia, but dekat Jepun is very banyak berlapis-lapis.
Okay? That's true, yeah.
For example kan, kita tengah ada join satu syarikat ni, kan. So kita ada bos kita. Dan bila kita ni sebagai orang bawahan dia, kita dengan bos kita ada satu konsep nak bercakap dengan dia ialah keigo. K-E-I-G-O. Keigo ni maksudnya formal language. Maksudnya kalau kita nak address dia tu tak boleh macam abang kan. Kita kena panggil kalau ada
mak dia abang.
Sebab setengah orang kadang-kadang kasar macam tu kan. Tapi in Japan dia dah provide siap-siap kalau macam ni, okay, macam ni lah. Macam aku ni orang bawahan dan aku ada seorang bos, dia namanya siapa, aku nak letak nama orang Jepun, Nobita lah, kita letak Nobita lah contoh.
Okay, Nobita betul dia punya pekerja itu Doraemon dalam dia.
Tak ada lah. Kita panggil dia Nobi-san lah sebab nama depan dia. Kita tak boleh panggil dia Nobita sebab kita ni orang bawahan. So kita kena panggil dia Mr. Nobi lah. So sampai tahap tu. So kalau kat Malaysia, kalau contohnya aku ni seorang leader dan korang macam orang bawah aku contoh. Kalau in Japan, kalau kat Malaysia mesti you guys akan panggil aku Faris kan. Takkan nak panggil Muhammad kan. Nama depan takkan nak panggil Muhammad. So kat situ I can see that it's very different in terms of macam mana I speak to people. Dan aku nampak when I be in Malaysia banyak benda yang longgar, the language itself. So masa tu when I came back from Japan, my Malay was very out. I cannot speak Malay at all. The time I started to speak again my Malay when I was in standard 5. Masa tu betul-betul I pindah kat Sri Aisyah. Kan, standard 5 I pindah kat Sri Aisyah, masa tu bolehlah cakap bahasa Melayu sikit-sikit kan. Sampai sekarang alhamdulillah bahasa Melayu okey. Cuma my first answer pasal the life in Japan that affect me is first the language. Second is kita punya orang kata
Alright, Shak. So that was a very interesting podcast episode.
Yeah, it was listening to his life story to you guys, like on your podcast. That's pretty cool that you guys got him here. But anyways, Carl, you forgot to give greetings to the people watching at home. So hello guys.
Hello guys. This is honestly, you know what? This is really funny because the first episode we're technically away, and now we're
and then we're also away, but I'm still in campus. But we're only away by how many 100 kilometers. But That doesn't matter now, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. But anyways, welcome to the last episode of What's Up World with me, Haikal and Shakir. What a journey we have been throughout this entire season, my man.
Yes, we have, Carl. We have done we
Yeah.
have like what? How many guests have we had? 7,
I think we
8?
have five. We have 5 guests in total. Yeah, we
Oh
have 5 guests. We
wow,
went from talking about emotional literacy, journalism. We had the incredible actor
brown
from
color
Private
ray on the
Sapo. What's his
show.
name again? Oh God, this is
Brown color ray,
oh yeah,
Carl.
Brown Padare, and also the very very fun and interesting Eri.
Yes, we had, and we're all
Yeah,
very fortunate to have all of those amazing guests on our show, Carl.
yeah. And you know what? Since we're talking about somewhat continuing from our last episode, we're going to talk about Japan for today.
Yes, we will, man. So what do we
Yes,
have in
we
store for
will.
these guys today?
Right. So we have brought in another senior of mine, okay?
Mhm.
Another senior of mine from my school. And he goes by the name of Faris Shiro. And not only that, if you guys don't know, he was also an ex UiTM student that managed the that is from UiTM Dungun. So
Yeah,
without
yes.
further ado, if Faris Shiro is ready, are you ready, Shiro? All
I believe
right, he's
he should
ready.
be ready.
All
Yeah.
right, let's bring him to the stream. Right, hello,
Hello.
Faris Shiro. Arigato gozaimashita.
Yeah,
Hi,
arigato
arigato.
gozaimasu for being on the show, man, and being with us. Thank you so much. How have you been? How are you
Thank you so
doing, man?
much. I'm good. I mean, thank you so much for inviting me too.
It was an honor
And
that Haikal got to like bring you onto the show. So yeah, we're gonna be excited to be
True.
talking to you
Wait,
today.
before we start, let me just test my Japanese with Faris for a
Okay,
moment.
okay.
mula dah.
Okay,
Okay.
kimi no namae wa?
Your name is the
Your
translation of
name is?
your name is
Yeah, your
Haikal.
name Faris
Yeah, he
Shiro. Okay,
wants.
sorry. Yeah. I want to say what's your name.
My name. Okay,
Yeah.
僕の名前はファリスです。皆さんよろしくお願いします。gitu. So
Oh my
that's
That is just
god!
amazing, man.
Wow.
usually how I introduce myself. Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So maybe you want to give a little bit of background of who you are first, because I know like people just admit like, wow, you just speak Japanese just out of random,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
of course, the
Tell us a
people
little
would
bit
like to
about your
know a bit
background first
more.
before we move
Yeah.
on to the questions.
Oh, I believe Faris is lagging for a
Okay,
bit,
we're having
so
a little
we.
bit of technical issue. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
No, you're okay, man.
Yeah. You're okay.
Right.
No, tell us a
So
little bit about
the
your background, like
short
who you are. Yeah, a short introduction.
Okay, sure. So hello everyone. Thank you so much for attending this live for today. My name is Muhammad Faris Bin Hanafiah, or also known as Shiro Sensei or Shiro. Okay, so basically right now I'm studying in Multimedia University under IT courses. And actually, previously, as you guys maybe have realized watching the posters about me, I was a UiTM Dungun student, and previously I was a president of East Asian Culture Club, in which I would address myself as a Hokage, seventh Hokage, and where this is where my name as a Shiro Sensei spread more and more, because UiTM Dungun was the first place that where I started my journey to teach Japanese to everybody. Okay, so that's like my background in terms of how I managed to spread my knowledge of Japanese language towards the UiTM Dungun students and whatsoever. But in terms of my personal background, right, like how I even managed to speak Japanese like a native Japanese speaker, if you may ask, right? I basically
Mhm.
stayed in Japan for like 5 years, right? 5 years during I was 4 until 8. And the main reason that why I stayed in Japan is because my parents were studying their bachelor, masters, and PhD. So basically, my parents stayed more longer than me lah. My parents were
Mhm.
around 12 years, and I was around 5 years. Okay, so from there I started to mix with Japanese people. I mean, in the Japanese community, about anime, about Japanese life. So it's very aesthetic
experience for me to stay for 5 years during I was a kid in Japan actually. So yeah, that's like the synopsis of who I am and the reason that why I am here as a Japanese speaker. I mean, a Malaysian Japanese speaker with you guys for today. So yeah, that's my short introduction.
Wow, thank you for sharing, Shiro. And
Yeah, thank you for
may I
sharing,
add,
man.
you're so lucky to be able to live in a foreign country, and not only in that, you get like to actually know how to speak the language, and now you're teaching it to others. It's just amazing, man. I truly
Yeah,
respect that because it's not every day you get to meet someone who speaks another language other than the languages we speak in
Japan.
Malaysia. Yeah.
Yeah.
true. That's so true. It's like,
And okay, if you guys are interested, okay, if you guys are interested about Faris Shiro, he does teach Japanese in some
Yeah, it does.
sense. Yeah, he does.
I do. Like, I previously make a Japanese class December last year, 3 times for that month because I believe that most people around my circle knows Japanese, but some people are in a beginner level or intermediate level, or even they understand quite a lot, but they still need some guidance and also some support from any sensei that can guide, right? So that's why I made 3 classes, 3 level of classes last year, and not only that, I also have been invited to some Japanese class from other university like UiTM, or even I'm one of the members as a part-time job in Academy Cakap Jepun, in which
Oh
I teach
wow.
Japanese and also like to communicate with Malaysian people who learns Japanese for examination, which is like in Malaysia we call it as a muet lah, muet,
Mm-hmm.
the Japanese version of muet. So these people gather in one place, learn Japanese not only by the theory but also how to speak. Because language is all about how you apply in every single day for your life, right? So that's why I am supporting these students to like, how to communicate like more effectively when you already learn the theory in Japanese language. So yeah.
Understood.
Man, the man is doing some incredible things behind the
Yeah,
scenes
he
also.
is.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
spreading his knowledge how to
it's
speak
pretty
Japanese.
pretty cool, pretty cool. So I think we're gonna start with the interview session. Well, sort of the interview session where we ask you some questions and he answers basically, and then
Yeah.
after towards the end, you guys in the comment section just type in any question you have that you want to ask Farishiro about Japan or the Japanese language or anything maybe about him personally. Feel free to put it down in the comment section below. Right. Without further
Yeah,
ado, Shai, do
guys.
you want to read in the questions or should I read the questions?
I'll read the questions then. So we
Sure,
have
sure.
3 questions for you today, Shiro, which is the first one being, how was it like being raised in Japan? What does Japan mean to you? And what makes the Japanese language unique and difficult? So we'll start with the first question with, how was it like being raised in Japan?
Okay, basically, what I can say is raised in Japan is quite different from what I have experienced living in Malaysia after I came back to Malaysia for good, right? So
Mm-hmm.
basically, Japan is a country where it emphasizes manners, it emphasizes in terms of politeness, even to show some empathy, sympathy about your own surroundings. So, but the only thing that I can say is because I lived there only for 5 years, which is
Mm-hmm.
until 4 years old, until 8 years old. So the experience that I have gained during my time were only as a kid. Okay, but there are times that I go to Japan for a short vacation or whatsoever. So the conclusion of that question that I can say to you guys is, first, it's all about your daily life in Japan is totally different. Okay, one of the main difference is, of course, Malaysia and Japan have like 1 hour different time. Like
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia right now is 5 p.m., Japan is
Yeah.
6 p.m. And
6
if
p.m.
Malaysia is around 7 p.m. is already like dah malam, in
Mm-hmm.
Japan, like 5 p.m. already dah malam,
Yeah,
right?
they are like the positions, I guess.
Yeah, the
In terms
position of the
of
sun. Mm-hmm.
prayer time is also different. Like most of
Mm-hmm.
us, we will wake up for subuh around 6 p.m., right? 6 a.m., sorry, 6
Mm-hmm.
a.m. But in Japan, we need to wake up like 4:30, 5 p.m., 5 a.m., something like that to wake up for subuh. So that's one totally different. Second thing is, when I look back, like my previous pictures, I belek back my album, my photo
Mm-hmm.
album. I realized that when I live in Japan, I live in a country that has 4 seasons. I was quite very white, something like that kan. Macam gitu. And from there, when I came back to Malaysia for good, there are some parts that in myself like macam culture shock sikit, macam my hand macam gatal-gatal, something like that. So that's one of the experience that I have faced when I came back to Malaysia for good. And one more thing that I really think that is different is about the daily basis actually. Daily basis about myself and my own surrounding. Because like for example, most of my friends in Japan, like for example, like my schoolmates, right? There are many students, even though like in year 1, year 2, I mean 7 or 8 years old of their own age, it's quite busy. The level of their busyness is same as like student SPM, student PT3. Like for example, after I finish my school, right, I usually ask my friends, where do you go after your school time? I go to tuition, I go to piano classes, I go to swimming
My
classes.
gosh.
My
Right.
God.
Their timetable is very packed, and there are times also they play games. But what I can say is they have their own timetable that most of Malaysian doesn't have. I think because like for example like kita like after we go back to school kita buat apa, balik rumah tidur, makan, mandi, something like that, right? So in Japan is very different because first in Malaysia is panas. It's very
Yeah.
panas.
True
Balik
that.
sekolah,
Very hot.
right? But in Japan, like walaupun sama, I mean walaupun it's not tak raining, it's still macam matahari pacak gitu. If it's not in summer time, dia tak rasa panas sangat. Still rasa angin, something like that. It's not as hot as Malaysia. So that's why most of Japanese people comes to Malaysia, one of their main concern is about their own skin, like when they come to Malaysia, they need to anggap yang mana every day is the summer.
Yeah.
Like that, except for musim tengkujuh ke whatsoever lah.
But Shiro, like maybe why not you emphasize a bit about on how you were raised in school? Like what I understand from Malaysian schools is that they learn how to like count and start with the academic life, right? But what about in Japan? What do they since it's a country of morals? So what do they emphasize them at a very young age?
That's a very interesting question actually, because there are some documentary, like people from overseas doing some documentary in Japanese school. The reason that why they do that is because in Japanese school they really emphasizes on discipline, on even care about your own surrounding. Like okay, what I can tell you guys about my story when I was in Japan masa sekolah rendah, basically in Japan, basically we don't have a cafeteria. We don't have.
How do you guys eat? You guys pack your lunch?
One of it, yes. There are some people who brought their lunch from their home, but there are some people also like depend on what the school is going to give, because in any Japanese elementary school they have this own big kitchen in which they will cook for every classes, and they will assign like 5 or 6 people to carry the food that the kitchen has distributed to each of the classes, distribute it and bring it to class and distribute to the student, and they eat in the class itself.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And you know what? Even though in Malaysia we still have like duty roster, like every single people needs to do their own job. For example, like Haikal sapu sampah, Syakil susun meja, something like that, right? But in Japan they are very specific. Their task in cleaning the class is like macam pekerja cleaner. Mop lantai, sapu sampah.
Wow.
And the best thing about mop lantai is they don't use like a mop like this tau. Dia ambil
It's like
kain,
with the
dia
hands,
rendam,
right?
lepas tu gitu.
So
Really teaching the students the actual
wow.
line of
Okay.
cleaning with
Cool.
hands.
It's fun for the kids because as far as what I remember, when because every single time in masa sekolah, and we will do this every day, guys. We will do the cleaning
Every day.
Like for example, we start the class around 9 p.m. 9 a.m. if I was not mistaken. Around 12 or 1 tu masa makan, and 1 until 1:30 tu memang semua student akan cleaning. Every single. So that's why like I realise where macam memang bersih. Sekolah je pun memang bersih. Dia orang apa ni, even though ada je cleaner in those school ada je cleaner, but the priority for the person who needs to clean their own classroom whatsoever is the student, not the cleaner. So for me that's like, oh, when I came back to Malaysia, like, I don't need to do the mock thing.
Yeah, it's just a culture shock thing, right? Yeah.
Feels so weird. Wait, we don't clean our own classes? No, okay.
Because we are being trained to be disciplined by our own. But when I came back to Malaysia, like, we don't need to do
So was it a relief or something? You were like, no, wait, we have to clean our classes, because like you can't shake off the 5 years of discipline in the Japanese schools cleaning your own class.
I actually like masa tu rasa 50-50. 50% like, I think I need to do. And second thing like, I'm in Malaysia, man. I have been, saya dah balik dekat negara saya sendiri. So what do I need to care? So macam ada.
And you'll be like the only kid cleaning the floors with like your hands. So that would be a weird.
That's interesting. Before we bought,
apply in Malaysia is very interesting lah. Kalau the Ministry of Education whatsoever emphasizes this kind of activity towards the student, I think sekolah punya facility dah jadi macam Jepun lah.
True. But who knows, right? Who knows? But actually, I do have something to share with the viewers right now, because what Shiro said, during my high school years, in my school we kind of applied the same system, right? Where all the food is we don't have a cafe, like we will serve the food to all our classmates. We were sort of instilling the Japanese culture inside the classroom. And this is because I came from a private school, right?
Yeah.
I came from a private school. Same school with Faris, Shaisha. So what we do is actually it helped us emphasize on caring for each other. It helped us, know our responsibilities when it comes to serving people. It was really, really a really nice experience as well. Yeah.
True. Same experience like Japan lah during that time.
During that time. Okay. Now I think the second question is gonna be very interesting for you, because you've lived in Japan for almost like for 5 years, and you have always gone back and forth whenever you have time. Am I correct? Yeah. So what does Japan mean to you as a person? I mean, not as a person, but to you, what does it mean to you that Japan is somewhat like your second home?
Maybe it's quite, I don't know lah, for some people maybe this sounds quite exaggerating, but there are some parts of me that think that Japan is my second home. Like, now macam mana? I have been raised in Japan for 5 years, and I understand how the Japanese people live and how me myself adapt in the Japanese community, macam mana semua tu kan. So for me, Japan is a country where we can learn many things lah. Memang if we go there, at least we will go back from Japan and come to our own country with bringing some moral values. You know, as far as I remember from my parents' story, because university student is more challenging than elementary school or even high school student. They are university student. As far as what I remember from my parents' story about their university life, right? They even have some timetable, a very packed timetable in doing their part-time job, attending to classes. And even though if in Malaysia, kita dah serabut tau. Kita dah serabut dengan jadual kita, but in Japan, for some reason, even though we are busy, kan, but sedar tak sedar, our own surrounding is also busy. Kan? Kita tanya member kita, like, oh bro, do you have any time right now after this? Jom pergi outing. Oh sorry bro, I have part-time job to do lah, so kena pergilah. Everybody is busy. So when this kind of, I'm not sure how to call it. Is it a pressure or surrounding lah? If the surrounding people on surrounding my parents masa tu memang macam tu dia punya the life. So dia punya apa perasaan nak busy tu you need to go with it lah kan. So
Menikah
masa
juga.
tu in terms of nak ada kematangan for us to be busy tu dah memang dah ada lah, tak senang serabut, which is kita settle things one by one. So that's like one of the things that for me, Japan ni memang negara yang boleh membuatkan kita rasa apa, boleh tahan dengan pressure, something like that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is because like Japan is very interesting country, you know, like di mana ada anime di situ ada Jepun, right? Anime is like
But that's true. That's correct.
The
That's correct.
staple of Japan, yes.
like most people like Malaysians like pergi Jepun, my first goal is Akihabara, for example, right? So that's like one of the iconic things that I think Japan has made a good job for a tourist like me or like you guys. Like one day if I go to Japan, I want to go to Akihabara. So like benda tu I don't really think that other countries have this kind of same perception, you know. And the third thing, this is like for my own personal perspective lah about Japan. Japan ni memang banyak ajar saya more to like polite words, you know, how to speak polite to elder people or our own supervisor or even someone that we should respect, you know. Like I have mentioned during the podcast that Haikal showed in the first video just now, Japanese language is a language where the formal language itself has its layers. Not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are many layers of Japanese language that we need to learn when it comes to formal language. Because takkanlah kita nak cakap bahasa yang formal dekat semua orang sama rata, betul tak? There are some people that we need to speak more respectively higher formal language. There are some parts that intermediate, ada some parts that low formal language. So if you learn Japanese language, you will understand that ini layer-layer yang ada. So benda tu like and that's why like maybe Haikal dah tengok Shiro every single day, dah lepak every single day. Dia nampak like tiba-tiba tengah cakap-cakap, naruhodo, soka, sonanda. Benda tu dia apply tau. Dia automatically ada dekat dalam diri sendiri when you know dah ada exposure, dah ada pengalaman. So that's the thing that I really bersyukur that I live in Japan for 5 years, dan alhamdulillah most of my students yang I started to teach starting from a diploma until today, they like, I wish I can learn something from you more. So macam if I get this kind of feedback, rasa macam it's macam apa ni, it's a achievement lah kan, rasa bangga, rasa for us to achieve that kind of things. So Japan ni memang is a country that for me dapat belajar banyak benda. Like believe me, if someday Shakil or Haikal ada rezeki pergi ke Jepun, believe me, when you go back to Malaysia lepas daripada pergi vacation kat sana, mesti you will get a value, you know.
I agree.
Japanese people, even though for them kita ni like a stranger, there are some people yang akan melayani kita dengan baik macam mak angkat kita, something like that kan. For example, when we are lost in train stations, right, when we ask like random people or even like the police yang jaga kat situ, they will entertain us very well because that's how Japanese people are taught to help people. So macam ini I don't know lah, ni I just cakap sebab I don't know negara lain macam mana, but I can say that Japan has these values to teach or to give to people. So that's why I think like value is like the most precious things that I get from Japan. So for me, Japan ni memang negara yang full of good values that we can learn from it lah. So that's like one of my
True. Wow, that was really, really interesting getting to know the insights of what Japan means to you.
Yeah, man. Like going to Japan, like from Shiro, he's been living there for 5 years. He teaches you all these values. And by the way, Shiro, you were not exaggerating at all because you've been there in Japan. You've lived there. You've been with the people. You've like communicated with them your whole 5 years there. And like, and for you to like anggap it as your second home is totally fine because you basically grew up there for a while.
Yeah,
so
basically
you're
grew
not
up there.
exaggerating at all. Just cool, you get the opportunity to live in other
Because I
people's
not like
countries.
lupa daratan, like we
Oh
know
no.
I have the exposure to live in Japan, so like
Yeah.
50 lah, 50-50. Yeah, something like that.
True. Well, now let's move on to the last question, and then we move on to the Q&A session. So the viewers who are watching this right now, you can now type in whatever questions you want to ask to Faris Shiro. Now,
Yeah, you can.
now, as we move on to the last question, I think this is a really interesting question as well, because I've always hanged out with Shiro most of the times, and ironically, that most of the times we hanged out is we do some Japanese stuff together. Yeah, for real, like we ate a lot of Japanese food together. We watched anime together.
Yeah, right.
It's
Japanese.
just ironically I go up for the Japanese stuff with Shiro.
Most of the
I
time,
mean,
guys.
what
of
else,
the
man?
time, Japanese movie, Japanese restaurant, Japanese activity. What else you want? Everything I give.
Oh wait, yeah. No, when you mentioned it, yeah, we did watch a Japanese movie together. About yeah. But one thing that I think you always love to talk about is whenever we're out or whenever we're just conversing about Japan is the language itself. Right. So we all know that for a fact that Japanese is one of the hardest language to learn.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest language to learn.
Confirmed.
Yeah, confirm. But what one of the hardest, I think next is like Arabic, French. French is quite easy. Anyways, but what makes the Japanese language hard to learn, and what is so unique about it where a lot of people want to learn the language?
Yeah. So basically, I think the first exposure that I can tell to the audience today is any language is difficult. Okay. Like, for example, if I ask you guys right now, right, like Malay, Bahasa Melayu, do you guys even master 100% good Malaysian language?
No.
No.
What about English? Is it the same thing?
Yes.
Right.
Also
So
no.
for me, that's one of the basic understanding that I oftenly give to my students or any audience that I talk about this kind of topic. Right, like any language has their own difficulty. So that's the first thing. And second is about because, for example, like Malaysia, bahasa Inggeris or German or Russia, they still use alphabetical Roman, right? Like ABC, right? But in Japan, one of the main things that you need to realize secara ketara is Japan has their own writing. Okay, because in our world today, I think 4 countries only have their own unique writing. Five countries have their own unique in their own writing, right? Japan, Korean, China, India, and Thailand. This 5 country has their own writing. Like okay. So when we go to Japan, right, Japanese alphabet, I mostly teach to my students about the basic alphabet in Japanese language, which is Hiragana and Katakana. Okay, so for any Japanese learners, this is like quite a beginner level. So if you can master this, you can move to the next level. Okay, so any beginners will begin the Japanese language from from the Hiragana and Katakana. But after that will comes the most challenging part that me myself also not master it fully yet, which is kanji. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry because my Instagram live have been tegur. What about bahasa Arab? Yes, bahasa Arab pun one more language yang have their own writing alih bata, right? So something like that. So dari segi situ, when we realize that kalau Japanese have like katakana, hiragana, and kanji, learn from it. How to master dia punya stroke. Saya just bagi tahu secara general lah. Japan, Korea, and China, one of the similarities in terms of their writing is their principle. Principle yang mana dia punya peraturan dia adalah atas bawah kiri kanan. Dia tak ada atas kanan, dia ada atas bawah kiri kanan. So that's the that these 3 countries akan pegang. And bahasa Korea, because I learned Korean language on my previous semester, and what I realized that's one of the things that Jepun pun macam ni, China China dengan Jepun ada similarities dekat situ, right? So dari segi situ I really understand that kanji Japanese, Korean and China ada dia punya the same principle. Okay, because your question just now, what is the difficulties of learning Japanese language, right? Because for me, most people, right, akan pandang soalan ni sebagai nak tahu apa susah. But the things that I want to tell you guys is mana-mana language is susah. Dan jangan pandang bahasa Jepun like the number one difficult language in the world. Right? Because benda ni, it depends on the people itself. If some people minat anime, like dah tengok anime since their childhood until today, and when they start learning Japanese, maybe it will be quite easier sedikit for them to understand Japanese on how about their grammar or on writing. But what if kita bawa kepada orang yang have zero knowledge in Japanese, zero information about anime, and suddenly learn Japanese? What they will feel, right? Culture shock, tak tahu, nak give up. So something like that. So because for me, the first thing that I will always advise to my students or the audience about the difficulties in learning Japanese, you must have an interest first in learning Japanese. Because if you don't have the interest, tak kisahlah, even the easiest thing you will feel difficult. Yeah, that's the first thing that I really emphasizes to my audience or my students lah. Okay, so second thing is about the consistency. Now, how to consistently doing the difficult things so that we will like get used to it to understand the difficult writing or whatsoever. So benda-benda macam ni for me it's not only Japanese. Any language that you guys learn kena ada consistency buat latihan. And if not, right, like for example, okay, let me ask Shakila for example.
Okay.
Do you use peribahasa every single day in your daily conversation?
Yeah, no, unless like it was on purpose. But other than that, no, you don't use them at all.
Okay, Shakil, for example, I'm not trying to say that kalau kau tak guna peribahasa kau terus. No. Okay. For example, if you consistently learn about peribahasa, like in any conversation also boleh guna pantun ni. So do you think like in any types of conversation that you are in, you can use your pantun? Wouldn't be that interesting?
Yeah, it would. Like it would be something out of the ordinary, just using peribahasa whenever, right? Like for certain
It looks like
situations.
unique, right? It looks very
Yeah,
unique.
it will be so unique.
So that's why Japanese also is the same. Because like Haikal said, Japanese is a unique language. I mean, any language from other country has their own uniqueness. So dari segi situ, how are you going to manage your difficulties? That's the most important part that you need to go with it. Okay? So that's the second thing yang I memang nak bagi tahu to my audience today and to you guys and even my Instagram punya live ini. Okay? So okay, kita dah pergi kepada the parts that I want to give the exposure before answering the question. Okay, so moving on to answer the question, apa yang susahnya dengan bahasa Jepun ni? What is the difficult parts of learning Japanese language, right? So the first thing, I really want to share about Japanese language is, even though during my school years, elementary school sampailah ke sekolah menengah, contoh this is not me, about Japanese people. During their elementary school year until their high school, and if you think the kanji punya alphabet is only from elementary until high school, silap. Because kanji is like an alphabet that is keep evolving. Akan pecah. Sometimes terkeluar kanji baru. Sometimes ada kanji macam ni. Right? So kanji ni, even masa masuk university, even masa dah jadi dewasa pun, you still need to learn new kanji. And that's why some adult people in Japan still doesn't know like the difficult kanji to read apa semua, because in Japan basically like in magazines, like in article or whatsoever, what I can say is most of the kanji that is written on those places menggunakan kanji yang tak berapa susah, melainkan if the topic is like the complicated thing lah, right? So what I can say is there are some Japanese people also doesn't master their own kanji as well. Okay, that's the first difficulty for Malaysian or even Japanese people itself rasa susah nak belajar bahasa Jepun. Dan macam kita lah kan, apa, kita peribahasa, simpulan bahasa, apa semua bahasa lah kan. We still like don't know or tak master lagi. So same with Japanese language. Like kanji lah, the most obvious part that in Japanese people or even me myself rasa macam, oi, banyak benda nak kena belajar ni. Okay, but kalau kita masuk ke university, the Japanese class in the university level, dia akan dedahkan like the elementary level, the high school level punya kanji. So if you guys, for example, Haikal or Shakil have an interest to learn Japanese language in mana-mana university or mana-mana class, if you master the kanji dari segi level elementary and the secondary ataupun high school punya kanji, you already have passed your kanji punya level to live in Japan, at least for a minimum requirement untuk understand every single thing that you look on your surrounding.
Wow.
That's the minimum part. If you like tengok surat khabar ke ataupun learn about history in Japan, maybe you will find some difficulty. Ni kanji apa ni bukan kanji burung ke? Entah ni gajah. So you will have this kind of confusions lah when it comes to kita dah belajar kanji, dah tahu banyak huruf, tapi when it comes to macam ada huruf yang lebih kurang sama, kita confused. So that's the first difficult part in learning Japanese. So that's the first, kanji. Kanji is the most difficult part. Okay, so settled. Second part yang paling difficult in Japanese language is the grammar. Like I have said just now about the formal language. You know, normally when I teach the Japanese language to my students, I teach every single part that's selalu guna in daily life, but it's easy one. Okay, because why? I only teach the simple formal language and casual language. Because in Japanese language sebenarnya casual punya bahasa is very easy to understand, but the formal is very difficult. Okay, for example, like I have said just now, when you want to speak to your boss, when you want to speak to politician or Perdana Menteri, these three levels has the different level of speaking their own formality. So even kalau let's say lah, kalau Shakil can speak Japanese, kan, tiba-tiba if you go in front of siapa politician ke apa ke, you speak a formal language yang macam sebawah-bawah punya level, because that's the only vocabulary that you have. There are some people who akan anggap yang dia ni tak faham lagi ni the formal language that you need to use. Okay, so yeah, about the formal language is one of the complex part that most of the Japanese learners will face lah. Yang lain dari segi susah nak baca katakana hiragana ataupun the difficulties on how to differentiate, how to use this or that in Japanese language is all comes from the consistency of how you use the language in every single day. So yeah, two things yang I think ada banyak, but for me untuk understand like the general parts of the difficulties in Japanese language is kanji and formal language. So yeah, that's my answer.
Wow, okay. You know what? I think that explanation itself has expanded the idea of what the Japanese language is all about. It's all about formality. I mean, since it goes back to the first question, right? Is the first answer that you give is Japan is a country of formalities, it's a country of values. So it also integrates in the language itself.
Yeah.
It's not only in the culture.
It's not only the culture.
Everything about Japan. Yeah.
That's completely amazing, Shiro. Knowing that, I mean, you can still speak the Japanese language until now, which is really cool. I think maybe you speak something in Japanese just to satisfy the viewers that you are.
Yeah, maybe people out there would like not believe you or something. I don't know. Just like prove to them, show them.
Sure, I can show you the proof. Okay. もし皆さんは日本語の授業を勉強したかったら、私のインスタグラムに行ってください。僕のインスタグラムの名前はファリスシロです。そしてそこからもし皆さんが日本語の授業を私と一緒に受けたかったらメッセージしてください。よろしくお願いします。
Oh my goodness, he sounds like an anime character, like one of those anime people.
I swear to God, that never fails to impress, man. That never fails to impress.
I mean, this is my first time hearing it actually speak Japanese that long, and I'm like, wow, okay, Japanese, cool.
because
And he
like
has no text, guys. He has no text. He's just saying it from his mind.
Yeah. So
true,
like that's
sebab
your proof, people.
what I can say is Japanese people speak very fast. You know, dia
Yup.
tak akan cakap like watashi no nama. Dia akan laju. So that's why like Japanese people ni dia akan cakap laju, dia akan faham pun laju. So that's why but the translation that what I have said just now basically is about if you guys are interested to learn Japanese language, I also provide some service of freelance in Japanese class punya kelas. So apa-apa pun boleh visit to my IG, nanti mungkin Haikal boleh promote my IG ke Faris Shiro. So apa-apa pun I'm free to teach anyone because orang yang paling I tak nak cakap tua, but orang yang paling atas yang I ajar is 45 years old, and budak yang paling kecil yang I ajar dah ajar 1. So I'm open to everyone.
He told
What?
us about the Daja
Japanese
Sato
language,
kid
if you
like
guys-
wanting to learn Japanese. Crazy
Well,
that the kid
guys.
knows what he
Interesting,
wants.
right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, guys, if you want a Japanese teacher, here you are. We brought you a Japanese teacher.
Yeah, you guys can always hit Shiro up on his Instagram if you want to learn Japanese from him,
Yep,
and he'll get
true.
you situated.
Now,
Yes, sir.
I think there's a question that I think I'm really curious that for you to answer. Okay, this is from Atif Zuhair. Okay. May I ask? Oh, wait, sorry. This is. Oh, yeah. Does Japan have chendol or anything similar to chendol? Okay, it's a fun question,
Okay.
but
Oh my god. Wow, this is a very challenging question. Okay, cendol okay. Cendol tak ada. We don't have like a cendol punya apa, I can say desserts, but we have apa in Japan we call as kakigori, which is macam ABC. Ais batu campur.
Wow. But it's like
We do have this
Japanese
kind of
version.
apa the Japanese version of ABC, but okay, you know what? I have this experience where a Japanese friend of mine came to Dungun during my diploma, and they tried to order ABC from our country's version, and one of the main like benda yang diorang terkejut of eating our ABC is you guys anggap corn, jagung as the things that can put in the ABC. Diorang macam terkejut because in Japan corn is for them it's a vegetable. In salad they will put corn, in soup they will put corn, but they won't put in a place like a dessert, something like that. So kalau in Japan, okay, so for Atif question that I can answer from this is we don't have chendol in Japan, but we have ABC. But in ABC punya in Japan punya ABC we have like strawberry or mango, like fruits punya ABC, not like chendol lah. So that's why when Japanese people come to Malaysia and eat chendol, diorang akan macam wow, memang meletup.
I think it's also interesting to know that Japanese people like to have the natural taste of the food, right?
True.
That if you realize when you eat can you
Sweet.
sushi?
Oh, sushi.
Oh God, I'm having difficulty pronouncing the sushi. Oh God. Okay, the Japanese, tradition. Yeah, you know what it means. You know what I'm talking about, lah.
Yeah, we understand.
So so the salmon, right? The salmon. They if you realize they keep it raw, right? They just want to have the authentic taste of the food.
True.
Yeah,
That's so true.
Yeah,
Like
and honestly, yeah, sashimi. Yeah, one thing that I also learned from Shiro is that whenever I have to eat like bento, I must drink the soup first.
Why? Why must drink? Why not mix the soup with the bento and eat it like normal Malaysian? This is something wrong.
That question is quite difficult for me. Not difficult lah, macam mencabar lah, because I understand why Japanese people drink soup first, because you want to have something like warm, masuk dalam mulut dulu, like kasih mulut kita bersedia untuk makan dulu, baru makan benda-benda yang like rice or whatsoever. The reason tau, because Japanese people is very kind with their own body, so that's why these particular parts in eating in Japanese punya culture memang, for me Malaysian is quite difficult to understand lah. Yeah.
I mean, we just like added a lot of things to our plate, you know. We just don't
Hmm.
care.
Campur je
Just
kan
like,
macam.
yeah,
It's just
we
a
just
mix,
here
like
and
nasi
there.
kandar.
Oh,
True.
nasi kandar. I just ate it just now.
Okay, now I'm
Wow.
hungry. But anyway, so
Anyway,
since we're on the topic of food, we have another question from Joe Hoshimura, if I pronounced that correctly. Do you have any favorite candy or dagashi while you were in Japan?
Actually, okay. In Japan, in terms of snacks, there are many types of sweet snacks that maybe I have eaten before, or maybe it's one of my favorites. But when it comes to favorite, I would say snacks lah. And if Hoshimura Joe is a Japanese, maybe lah, I don't know. If he is a Japanese, when I say one of the Japanese snacks called sembe, that's my
Okay.
number one favorite. Sembe is a rice cracker in our language, because rice cracker for me is the only snacks that other country doesn't have. And sembe is not sweet but macam sour sikit, but sour but crunchy, so something like that. So I think in Japan, if like ada favorite snacks ke apa ke, I'll go for sembe. But if you really want to ask about favorite candy ke apa ke, I think I will go for mochi lah. Like a red bean mochi. That's my favorite.
I
Red
knew
bean
it.
Because
I was
mochi.
thinking about mochi as well.
mochi lah. Like red bean mochi is my favorite. Yeah.
Has Family Mart brought you home yet?
Oh my, damn. I mean, at least lah, I can taste it back the onigiri that I've tasted in Japan and in Malaysia macam okay. At least the taste is the same guys. Lebih kurang je. It's not different but it's the same. If you eat the onigiri, sandwich in Japan, macam tu lah rasa dia. That's the interesting part, that we're consistently samakan rasa even though they imported the shop in Malaysia.
The food.
So yeah.
True. We have another 2 more questions, which I think is really interesting for you
Yeah,
to answer
people.
them. Right?
Yeah, what is it?
Yes, Family Mart mochi is so good. That's definitely to Hashimura.
Yeah, true.
All right. So, have you ever went to any festivals in Japan?
Oh, yeah, I have. I mean, since like 5 years is a very long time, right? So, okay, I buat list lah, like Halloween, Christmas, event, or Bon Odori. I have been in a Bon Odori festival, and even Ohanami. Ohanami is a festival where when the sakura blooms, Japanese people will like have a picnic under a sakura tree and have some fun. So
Right.
been that kind of festival before. And last but not least, in summer we have like a firework festival in Japan.
Hanabi.
So that's one of
Hanabi.
the Hanabi. Hanabi is one of the, for me like it's the best, because like in Malaysia, for me I'm sorry to say, Malaysian fireworks is not that fun, because you know what, in Japan there are fireworks that were pew, akan keluar gambar Mickey Mouse, pew, keluar gambar
How
Donald
do they
Duck.
do it?
I have no idea. They created that kind of technology, man. Like, wow. For example, when I went to Disneyland during summer time, right? Like when in night base, basically they have like a firework festival. So adalah gambar-gambar Disney semua. It's very interesting for me to see.
Wow.
But if about the Japanese aesthetic festival that I have been before that I still can share and remember is Ohanami. Ohanami is very fun. Like the sakura, you know.
Sitting under sakura trees. Have you seen sakura trees, Haikal?
Yeah. Good question.
I haven't. I think I haven't, but I think I have in Malaysia. I'm not sure if there was a sakura tree or not.
I think they do have sakura trees in Malaysia. I don't know, or is it just a similar tree? But I don't know. Let's move on.
I have like been touched the sakura punya bunga before. So macam nak kata, sakura punya the flower punya ni, dia punya apa? The flower punya tu, dia punya rasa je ibaratkan macam you pegang wet tissue.
Oh
Wet
wow.
tissue tapi lagi lembut
Wow.
daripada wet tissue.
Like damp.
And bila kita
Damp
macam
flower.
bising macam we have the smell like bau wangi. So that's why we have like a sakura punya ice cream ke, sakura punya apa pocky ke, something like that. So that's why sakura pun ada dia punya the taste, I mean the smell.
Wow.
And we also have the character Sakura.
Oh, okay.
That's why. Yeah. Okay.
Right, Carl. So you
And
want to
yes,
go to the last question?
The last question, and I think yes, Sir Aiman, you should really try the onigiri. It's definitely really nice.
Yeah. If you want to have some exposure like eating Japanese food, at least lah cuba lah pergi Family Mart or else kebulung kau tak tahu nak makan makanan Jepun. Like that.
All right. Okay. So I think this one is I think you've have experience doing this. So this is from Joel Lang. Hope I'm saying your name correctly. Hello. Did you find it difficult to switch between formal Japanese and informal Japanese?
Interesting question. Basically, it depends on who I am speaking with. For example, when I speaking with like a Japanese lecturer, there are times that I quite find it difficult for me to like switch myself as a formal language because like normally I will address myself as boku. Okay, boku. Boku no namai wa Faris desu, for example. But when it comes to like speaking this kind of people like orang yang lagi atas authority than us, we would usually address ourselves as watashi. So watashi is the part that maybe like as a pronoun punya part, itu yang I selalu salah cakap macam boku, bukan boku, watashi, for example. Or even the sentence itself for me to say in a formal language kadang-kadang I tersalah. So yeah, first answer for Joel Lang is it depends on the person itself, who are you speaking with, and also like how you should address yourself when you speak to someone that has like more higher authority than you, like more senior than you, or the person who you really respect. You should address yourself as watashi instead of boku, because if casual language in Japanese, when you want to address yourself, you will say boku or atashi. Atashi, not watashi. ATA, atashi. Watashi is for girls. So watashi is mostly for a formal panggilan formal for both of the genders. Watashi is for girls, watashi is also for men. Dua-dua boleh. Macam tu lah.
Wow.
True.
That's the
Wow,
difficult
that's a
part lah.
very technical. I think that's the very technical part of Japan is the
language,
formality.
Yeah. There's so many different types.
I honestly I put Japan as my language to learn, but now I'm reconsidering it.
Jangan fikir susah ya Haikal. Don't think it difficult.
Okay. But I'm just reconsidering it if I would want to learn it. just reconsidering. But I mean,
Faris
I
has
might
been
go to
motivating.
what?
Faris has been motivating us to like learn Japanese and not think of it as hard. So like there's
for
that.
the viewers out there, remember, learning it can be hard, but it's all about the motivation and your reasoning on learning the language itself. It's all about the commitment, the willpower, and all that stuff, right? Anyways, I think we've gone to the conclusion of the series and our episode. Shakil.
Right. So like, okay, before we go, there's just one thing they like must have mentioned whenever someone non-Japanese who can speak Japanese is that the people want to know if you watch anime without subtitles. I know this is something you've been asked a lot, but yes, they need to hear it. They want to know if you watch anime without subtitles.
Spill it, Shiro, spill it. The people needs to know.
Like, guys, this is like 5,000 ke 5,000 ke berapa punya soalan I get this kind of question by people. Okay, I don't look at subtitle, okay, in Japanese language, melainkan if there's a very difficult meaning. For example, like if you watch anime like apa nama tu? Sorry. Tak apalah. For example, like anime Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso, Your Light in April, sometimes there are some difficult language that kalau tengok translation mungkin ikut. So what I can say is most of the time I tak tengok subtitle, but if there's a difficult meaning that ni masuk apa entah, tengok bawah translate apa ni, tengok subtitle. Yeah. Most of the time like tengok je lah casually.
So there you have it, people.
That's like the dream of an otaku, man. That's the dream of otaku. Watching anime without subtitle, I'm a champion. Something like that lah.
So there you have
Shiro,
it.
Shiro.
When
You have to teach Eri that one day. You have to teach Eri that one day.
True. I can teach you, but it takes a long time.
True. But anyways, I think we've reached out the most important question of tonight, Shakil. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, because
Thank you for pointing that out.
want to answer the questions on the people's minds, like they would like to know. But anyway, okay, go on, Cal. I'm sorry.
It's okay. But anyways, thank you for those who have listened up to this point to our last episode of What's Up World. We really appreciate you coming, and Shiro, we really appreciate you for being our final guest of this season.
It was such a fun guest to have, like all our other guests. So yeah, thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank you
for being on the show. Now,
thank you for inviting me.
No problem, Shiro. Now, if you're wondering if there's going to be a third season, we'll see. We don't know just yet. We don't know if there will be another season for our English Language Club talk show. But if you guys really want to do it, maybe we will consider it.
It's in the talks
We
if
will
you guys
consider it.
want, but yeah.
If you guys want it, we'll
as of
consider
right
it.
now, this is gonna be the last episode, I guess, Cal.
Yeah, this will be the last episode for now. But if you guys want to revive it, let us know. Anyways, so without further ado, we make sure. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
We might talk about his personal life story then. Really interesting. Yes.
True.
Anyways, so for those who are listening right now, please do fill out the feedback form down in the comments below. It would be really appreciative for you guys to do that, because we would like to know your feedback about the show and how we can improve in our skills in moderating and hosting events, right? Not if you fill in the feedback form, we promise you that this will help us improve us as individuals, and it will help us improve more club activities as the English Language Club in UiTM, right? So everyone who's listening right now, do fill in the feedback form below. Now, without further ado, you know the Dirshak, you know what we're gonna say.
Oh, what are we gonna say?
So like and subscribe, man.
Like and subscribe everyone to the video, and it's been a joy doing this for 2 seasons now, and it's been joy with Haikal as well as all our previous guests before. We really honored that you guys spend your time to watch us do these shows, and yeah, it's been fun, and we'll see you next time, I guess, in the future.
And also, if you guys want to know a little bit about who Faris Shiro is, okay, it's a shameless promo. You can listen to What Now Jom Lepak.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know what if you guys want to know what What Now Jom Lepak is, What Now Jom Lepak is my podcast with my other co-host Haziq, which is my best friend, where we talk about, well, it's the same premise of what the show is about on the English Language Club, but I'm doing it with Shakir. But here you can hear more interesting speakers, and you can insight to various different types of topics, and you can see me in a more raw, well, not more raw, but in a more chilled manner. Lepak, right? Chill manner. Yes, and it's a Malaysian podcast. It's a Malaysian podcast, so feel free to listen to it anytime. And also, we're releasing a new mini series coming actually this Saturday, so do tune in to that.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Without further ado, remember to like and subscribe the English Language Club. Put on that notification bell. Follow our Instagram page, which is at the English Language Club UiTM CPP. And I think that's all. I think, do you want to promote anything, Shiro?
Yeah, last words.
Yeah, one of the things that I think I can mention is, of course, follow Instagram of this English Club and subscribe their own YouTube channel and whatsoever. And if you want to follow my Instagram too, you can follow me at Faris Shiro. Simple, Faris Shiro, Faris. SHIRO, Faris Shiro, just not Z, S. And also, if you are interested in learning Japanese class with me, do DM me and I will get to you. Okay. So yeah.
All right, cool.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Faris, for being on the show, and thank you everyone
And
again
thank you
for
everyone for
tuning
coming
in.
on. So if you guys, so remember fill in the feedback form and see you when we see you. All right.
Yeah, we'll see you whenever.
Bye.
So bye bye.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.